Welcome back to another FSD video. This is my first video with my new camera setup here. I have a new DJI camera and microphone, so very curious what you think of the audio quality and video quality. So I was able to actually move the camera more forward, so you should have a bit better view of the instrument display. I'm going to work on a few different options though to maybe actually move the camera further forward, because this has an ultra wide setting that would allow us to get even closer and still get a good wide angle shot, everything going forward. So got some more work to do there, but I know there's a new DJI camera coming out next week or the week following, so I probably will only have this camera for a week or so and probably return it so I can get the new one, since I'm buying a brand new camera right now. So anyways, we're going to do a few drives here. First one is to the UPS store, a few miles away here. It's pretty darn close, but you know, it's in an area where the parking lot can be sometimes pretty busy during the day. So let's see how version 14.1.4 handles it. All right, and again, FSD always goes to the left coming out of my driveway when I back in like that, and then it goes to the right because it is a steeper driveway. So that behavior seems to still persist in 14.1.4, which I really like. I have the car suspension actually raised, but for folks that have lowered Teslas, that's the behavior you want to see with FSD, because that will result in your front fascia not being scraped on the asphalt. Good handling of that pedestrian that was approaching us. He wasn't quite going to be in our path unless we waited another second or two, so the car proceeded like it should have and got out of his way as well. So I think in 14.1.3 we might have seen some hesitation there, just based on my previous drives. So far during the day anyways, 14.1.4 has been pretty darn good. I need to do some more testing at night though, and that's going to be coming later this evening. I should have some more time to drive around the metro once it gets dark out, which doesn't take long these days. Usually it gets dark by about 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit less now, at 5:30 I think probably now. So yeah, there's not much sunlight, so you're going to see more and more nighttime content from me as the winter gets closer. And this parking lot does appear to be a bit cramped. This is my first time coming over here, so even though I live not too far away. So let's see where it finds a parking spot. It looks like it's all directional too, so we have to go to the left here to find parking. And it looks like we're going to park right between these two cars. Awesome. It's kind of a tight squeeze here, but I'm just making a quick errand, so this should work just fine. Awesome. I will see you back here for part 2 of the drive in about 10 minutes. All right, this is going to be part 2 of this drive here, and we are going to get started here from UPS and head to my dog's vet. This parking lot is pretty hectic. There's a lot of shops in this little shopping mall here, so. But FSD did a great job entering this parking lot and finding a spot right next to where I had to be. So that was pretty cool. So we could have probably taken a left out of that parking lot there, but looks like we're gonna go up to here and make a left turn. So, and I'm gonna raise my suspension just a little bit. It's a pretty steep driveway here. So now we're gonna have to make a left turn and then make sure we're not blocking that stretch of road, which the car looks like it did a fantastic job of doing. That was awesome. So oncoming traffic that has to go to our left can now proceed without us blocking the intersection there. So good job with that maneuver. And then just route-wise here, it looks like we're going to go all the way back up kind of right by home and then get on 94 and then go 280 all the way up to 35W and then over to 694, which will take us to our vet that we have to go pick up some things from. Great job with that right turn there. Again, as I stressed in my 14.1.3 videos, with the Model S with version 13, it would always get really close to the apex of the right turns. So which is, and the apex is the point at which you're closest to the inside of the corner, right, when you're making a turn. It would get to that apex and then it would basically make a wheel adjustment every time. So it would take a line like it was going to hit the curb, and then it would always adjust, almost always adjust, and we would miss the curb, but it would just be kind of unsettling if you were in the car or whatever, especially for passengers. I expected it, so it didn't bother me much after the first few times, but it was something that always happened, and it always seemed kind of like they never really adapted version 13 fully to the other types of vehicles like the Model S and X in the fleet, which was unfortunate. But in version 14 now, it nails it every single time. I have yet to hit a curb or even get close to hitting a curb. I have some really nice Unplugged Performance wheels on this car, so I always watch it carefully because I would cut it off if it got too close. But that behavior seems to be fully fixed now in version 14, which is great. Quite a bit of traffic here getting on to I-94, even for the late afternoon. It's say it's not really that late, but quite a bit for this time of day. Good job with that merge. It's always a tough one. There's not a lot of space to blend in, and traffic is usually approaching pretty quickly from behind. So it's always a good test for FSD. You know, human drivers usually mess up there quite a bit, and then when they do, it bottles traffic all the way back. Alright, so we're about to get on I-35W up here. We do need to get over, so we have to stay to the right of this fork here, which FSD's always done a good job of, but we also have to get over to the right more because there is a merge point, and it looks like human drivers are already struggling with that, so this should be an easier problem for FSD to solve here just because traffic is going so slow. But sometimes it's caused some fun here because, you know, you're going a little faster, and it can be a little challenging because you don't have a lot of time to get over before the lane ends. But yeah, no problem for version 14 there. So we have our blinker on here. We've had our blinker on for a little bit. However, this lane does go where we want to go still, so I'm just going to see how long it keeps it on here for. It looks like it's actually trying to get over. So there was a bit of hesitancy there with that automatic lane change, even though, you know, it could have made some adjustments sooner. It just didn't really feel like there was much urgency around it. So, you know, I'm going to report that. I don't think it's great behavior to keep your turn signal on that long unless, like, you're waiting in line to get in somewhere, like, where there absolutely is no way to get in, you know, until the spot opens up. So that didn't seem like one of those scenarios. I'll have to go back and watch it, but I've seen that behavior at night with automatic lane changes. That was kind of the first one I've seen during the day, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. And then a little bit of brake pumping there for that car that was coming on back onto the freeway there. You know, a little bit of cautiousness. It did maybe 2 pumps of the brakes there, just slightly, but it wasn't enough to really upset our car too much there in terms of speed. You might have seen a few mile per hour bit shaved off, but and that's not a big deal. That's just, I think, more or less just showing you how fast the car can react. One of the comments that I saw online that I really agreed with and liked the way it was articulated was basically it seems like Tesla is taking the filters off in the decision-making process, right? So what you're seeing now in version 14, you know, are maybe some of the wrong moves in terms of like the reactions, but the car usually corrects really quickly. So you're seeing how fast it can really make decisions, but obviously that needs some fine-tuning still, right? Just to make it a bit more accurate. But version 14's latency is noticeably better than version 13 ever was. Like, its reaction time is damn near instant in many circumstances. So, you know, again, I see what they were trying to do under the covers. We'll just have to kind of see how that evolves here over the next couple of updates. Okay, good behavior there with that automatic lane change. You know, it sped up comfortably just to get around that car and then get in that open spot there. So hopefully we see more of that sort of behavior at night when we go back testing later. Good job speeding up around that car there and getting over, because we do have a very short interchange here to get onto this Cloverleaf, to get onto 694 West. But handled beautifully. Very smooth, no jerkiness, very, very confident lane changes there. Doesn't get much better than that. And a great job there getting up to speed. We didn't have any cars too close to us coming up from behind, so we were able to merge without much pressure, but the car did a great job nonetheless. Very smooth. So this is interesting behavior from Standard here. We have a car in front of us that's not even doing the speed limit, and typically I would say, based on how fast Standard typically goes, I would like to see it just get over to the right and pass that car, which also sets us up for our exit coming up here in about under 2 miles. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone there, but the car is just persisting to stay in the middle lane. And based on my drives yesterday, I've noticed that FSD will have a preference, at least in the standard profile, which again I notice affects speed, but it's content sitting in these middle lanes on 3-lane roads, and there it finally gets over. But in my opinion, it should have gotten over a little further back. And now I'll have to keep an eye on and see what speed it gets to here. Looks like we're sitting around 64 miles an hour in a 60 mile per hour zone, so, you know, not too slow, not too fast. About 65 now. So, you know, again, as I reiterated in my video yesterday several times, my biggest complaint with the standard speed profile is that it just goes too fast in many stretches of road, especially 60 mile per hour zones like on I-94 East. The car will do 72, 73 miles an hour. Even in chill, it will go over 10 miles an hour over. So I want to see more consistency in future builds with the speed profiles, right? Maybe some more, you know, limits. If they can do some more reinforcement learning or something like that for those profiles, that would be awesome, because I think they really need to hammer into those profiles. If we don't have the ability to set the max speed anymore, and that's gone for good, we need the ability for those profiles to make some better decisions. For example, I think, you know, chill should be anywhere from, you know, 0 miles per hour over the speed limit to 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. Standard should be 5 miles per hour over the speed limit to 9 miles per hour over the speed limit. And then hurry is like 10 to whatever, and then obviously Mad Max can go up to like 20 over, right? That's what I would like to see. And I would like to see the car, you know, when you switch profiles, to more quickly react to those limits, right? That would be my preference. And if we could do that, I think you'd solve most everybody's speed, you know, related concerns with version 14 and some of version 13 as well. Because I try to leave it in the standard profile. Most of the time it does what I would do, you know, and I've chilled out quite a bit since I drive with FSD now. When I drive manually, I'm kind of a lead foot, so it does take the edge off when you're driving, especially in traffic. I don't know how people do it without FSD, but I've gotten so spoiled over the years, which has been nice. But the car does a really good job here of, you know, regen braking smoothly. We didn't touch the mechanical brake at all, even though we were going from about 60 miles per hour to 0. So that was excellent behavior. All right, so pretty boring drive, which is a good thing, right? I don't really can't remember if we experienced any issues along the way. I think it was pretty smooth throughout. So uh, exactly the sort of behavior we want to see with version 14. This is that parking lot I was talking about here. So there is an entrance right here, and this is exactly where we had to go in. So this is great. Not sure where this person's going here. Let's see what they figure out where they were going. So we're stopped here, which is great. We're going to want to proceed here as soon as they're clear to go. Perfect. We should be able just to pull forward. Wow, the car did a fantastic job with that. It did proceed a little bit forward and gave him a little pressure, but it figured out, that it had to kind of give him more space once they kept going backwards. So exactly the type of behavior we want to see, especially with Autopark there. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes, and then we'll head back home. All right, we're ready to start our return trip back home here, and I am going to actually have it take a different way, just for fun. Alright, so if it tries to go back out, it's going to actually, let's see which part of the driveway it uses here. It should go all the way down to the left here. Perfect. So it didn't try to hop that curb there, which would have been not the best. Great handling of that parking lot there. I was a little nervous with that curb that I was going to have to cut it off, but my streak continues, man. I've been driving all over the metro since I got the first version 14 build, and as critical as I can be, obviously I just want things to be as close to how I would drive as possible, which I feel like I'm a pretty competent driver. I call out those behaviors because I want them to be addressed, right? So, but I think it needs to be framed accordingly, and I try my best to do this. I'm a big fan of Tesla, and I want them to succeed, right? So it's my feedback comes out of a good place there and trying to make things better. And I know that folks are listening over there, and they're very dedicated to making that happen and making these builds as good as they possibly can be. So for that, I'm really appreciative, but I think it's really impressive to me that I have gone now, as of today, a full week without having to drive my car, and I've gone all over the place and have not had to disengage the system once. The only corrective action I've had to take, I've had to hit the accelerator in a couple of 3 drives where it was just hesitating a little too much. And then I had to find different parking spots because the ones it picked were not either valid parking spots, or I just thought there was a better option that we needed to park instead. That's it. That's the only driving I've done. And I think that is just super impressive. All right, this will be a good test here once we get the green, because we do have a set of meter lights that are on this on-ramp. So we're going to have to slow for those, pick a side, and hopefully not impede traffic behind us. And we are the lead car, or should be anyways. And we have a green, so let's see what the car does here, if it picks the lights up early and doesn't carry too much speed. All right, so we got a little bit of room between this car behind us now. Okay, we picked the left side here. And there's the green. Perfect handling of that on-ramp. And again, the on-ramps here are super goofy. You saw that it says to form two lines, but the lines are not painted as such, right? It's painted as one big lane. So fantastic handling. Like, there was no jerkiness at all. So I mentioned in one of my other videos, I felt like they had finally fixed the Minnesota on-ramp behavior with FSD, and that is all the confirmation I need that it's been addressed. So that was fantastic. You know, if I wanted to nitpick it a little bit, I could have said the car could have went to the right and carried more speed and kept going, but that was legally what it's supposed to do, and that was fantastic. So really happy to see that. That's been a long time coming. I know I've complained about that at version 13 forever. So that consistency there is finally present in an FSD build that the public has access to, which is great. So I know many Minnesotans are going to be very happy to see that. And I'm going to just fix the navigation here because I want to go back to using my old home address in the home shortcut and see if I can pick the driveway option, because that was a thing that was missing for whatever reason, it went missing after the first time I got to use it. So I used it once, and then the option went away for every drive home afterwards. So we're going to fix that real quick right now. All right. So the new home address is set in there, and we'll test that out here, and hopefully the car will park itself on the driveway and maybe the garage, even if we open the garage like we have in the past. Good job passing that semi there and getting over into the correct lane. That was fantastic. And then so now we have a Cloverleaf coming up here, and then we'll be merging onto I-94 east from 694 west. Again, great merging behavior. Car accelerated with some authority, but it was not uncomfortable. It was just what I want. All right, so we do have an ambulance coming up behind us here. Let's see what the car does. It is picking up on it. Great behavior there. The car got over right away, and it's aggressively getting out of the way. Fantastic. It's doing a better job than a lot of the human drivers are doing right now. That was tremendous. So that was like my second emergency vehicle I've come across now testing FSD 14, and it's been awesome both times. As soon as a car behind us got out of the way and it could see behind us, it got out of the way immediately. So this shows you how fast version 14 can make decisions and inputs. Like, as soon as I saw it behind us, I was like, oh, it's right there. And then the car was already moving over. So that was great. All right, and here is our exit here, Vandalia Street, and we are going to be making a right turn onto Cretin Avenue. All right, so we're going to have to get over here and blend in with this car, and it looks like we're going to merge right in front of him very smoothly. Great regen the entire way down, no mechanical brake usage. Again, very, very comfortable there. So from what I can see during the day, version 14.1.4 is just as confident and comfortable as version 13.2.9, which I know was a great build, and I know it had a lot of strengths, but everything I'm seeing based on these drives these last 2 days, at least during the daytime, this build's a winner. Like, this is one of the best FSD builds I've experienced so far. So I hope my first drive at night a few nights ago with 14.1.4 was maybe a fluke, but we're going to rule that out. And if I get better experiences tonight, then I'm going to be super happy. But I do have some suspicions because there's been a lot of reports of kind of that Jekyll and Hyde like behavior depending on time of day and lighting outside. So we'll put that to the test one way or the other. And as we're kind of just hanging out here for a second, I am going to see if I can pick the driveway option, and look at that. It is available again for my correct home address. So we'll have to see where it is going to try and park. So we have a car backing out of the driveway here we're going to have to slow for, which we do. And, all right, so he looks like he's parking. Great behavior there. That was great to move around him because that's exactly what he wanted for us to do. So, and hopefully you can appreciate the fall colors here. They're just awesome this time of year here. It's been a bit late this year. So, all right, so I am going to crack my garage door open with my app, which I just did. And now the car should find my garage here on the right and try to pull in. Let's see what it does. There it goes. Let's see if it actually tries to pull in or if it's just going to go to the driveway. It's just going to go to the driveway. Okay, well, it was worth a shot. I'm going to just hit the brake there as we're close enough. And yeah, that's it for this drive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.